Alright everybody, before we dive into this deck profile, I gotta show you the 3-step combo that's gonna absolutely eviscerate your opponent. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, and 3. And then you should f***ing win. Hey everybody, what's going on? Logan JYA here, and if you're looking for a budget strategy to absolutely obliterate the current meta, look no further, Necrogoon is back. I don't want to keep you waiting, let's dive straight on into this profile. Let's get into it. Alright my friends, back by popular demand, or unpopular demand, depending on how you want to view it, we've got the Necrogoon. This turbo stun strategy is the perfect way to combat those U-Bells or those Fiendsmiths. And for those of you who don't know the history of this deck, I'll give you a little bit of context. Back in the day, way before the days of the Dry Kage, I actually built Necrogoon with the help of a friend of mine, an old buddy named Rob. We put together this list to combat Drytron when my budget was a little bit smaller and I needed a way to beat that crazy tier 1 deck. Well, we discovered, holy heck, Necro Valley is a pretty strong way of stopping the Drytrons. And every time that there's been a format where there's a super graveyard reliant strategy, we try and take Necrogoon off of the shelf and adapt it for that current format. Now, we don't have the same tools available to us as we did back in the day, the big one being Verte Anaconda, so of course the build has shifted. But right here and now, I'm going to show you what we have put together to try and take on those Fiendsmiths and U-Bells. And the final thing that I want to say before we dive in, this is a phenomenal budget option for those players who are trying to embrace a classic strategy right now, those being the Gravekeepers, while still keeping up an edge on the rest of the meta and save a little bit of money. You're going to be surprised at how many wins you can steal with this build. But without further ado, let's jump in. Alright my friends, first and foremost, starting things off with the triple copies, the Gravekeeper's Commandant. You don't know what this guy does. You send him from hand to grave and he's going to be searching you off of Necro Valley. It's pretty simple stuff, and when Necro Valley's face up on the field, he ends up being a 2100 beater. So don't sleep on the fact that your guys do get big with the Necro Valley, because you might need them to help knock down your opponent's life points. This is a bit more of a for fun tech option. You could completely cut this, bring the list down to 40, but my 41st card in this build is the Gravekeeper's Heretic. This is a classic card that came out way back in the day. I want to say like 2014, maybe 2013. Nah, I think it was 2014. And the cool thing about this guy is that he's just unaffected by all other cards, and he combines pretty well with some of the other trap cards that we're playing, and you're going to see them in a moment. But I love this guy just because he is the easiest Towers monster to ever summon. He's completely unaffected by everything, including your own Necro Valley, so he doesn't get the boost. But he's an 1800 guy who you can just keep poking in at your opponent's life points with, and he can't clear 1800. Heck, you're going to be looking like you're in a pretty good situation. He's pretty good when he's backed up by Forbidden Droplets as well. But again, he is a bit more of a superlative slot. If you wanted to, you could cut him and bring the list down to 40, but I just wanted to play him because he is one of my favorite Gravekeepers of all time. This guy's an absolute classic, and I just love playing him. Alright everyone, since this is a Necrogoon strat, we gotta be gooning. So how do we do that? We're playing the cards to make the Dragoon. We got the Red Eyes and the Dark Magician. These are the artworks I chose to go with this time. Your artworks will vary. Pick your favorites. That's another fun thing about playing a deck like this, is that we get to play some of the most classic cards in the history of the game, and you can pick your favorite iterations of them. So I got the classic Red Eyes combined with the evil Dark Magician. I think it's pretty appropriate since we're embracing evil with this build. And then, of course, the last monster in the main deck is one Red Eyes Wyvern, because it combines with your spell card that searches out your Red Eyes Fusion. Alright, moving on into spells, I'm going to start things off with the Gravekeeper's Engine. So first and foremost, no surprises here. We got the triple copies of the Necro Valley, the namesake of the deck, the thing that dominates any graveyard reliance strategy. If you haven't read this card, check out the most recent errata. I'll put a link for it down in the description so you know what it can do. But it basically stops cards in the graveyard from moving anywhere, negates the effects that would do that thing, and makes it so we absolutely win against Fiendsmith and U-Bell if you go first, alright? So win that die roll and you're going to be in a pretty good situation. But Necro Valley is the bread and butter of this deck, and it combos pretty darn well with the other best card into the deck, that one being Royal Tribute, which is the easiest hand rip in the game, alright? If your opponent opens all monsters and you open Necro Valley Royal Tribute, it's one of the best 2-card combos you could ever flip and see. And that's also why we play so few monster cards in the main, because we don't want to conflict with the Royal Tribute. When we go first, this is kind of what we're trying to do, okay? We want to resolve Royal Tribute. There's so many opponents who will just automatically concede game 1 once they see you put down the Royal Tribute because they don't want to show you what they're playing. So if you want to steal game one super quick, this is going to be your quickest pathway. Now continuing through the Gravekeeper side of things, we got triple copies of Necro Valley Throne. If you don't know what this does, this searches out any Gravekeeper monster. It also does have the secondary effect that it can give you a double summon. That one doesn't come up that often. It's just more ways to access your Necro Valley, or if you already have it, you can search your Heretic, and that's another normal summonable beater that can apply additional pressure. All right, now we'll move on into the Red Eyes side of things. We got triple copies of the Red Eyes Insight. That was the spell I was talking about that combos with our Wyvern, because this card searches out your Red Eyes Fusion, which we're also maxing out on. Of course, we want a Dragoon Turbo as much as we can, so we've got to maximize the copies. Unfortunately, since there is no Verte Anaconda, there's no easy side way to cheat it out, so you just got to see the Red Eyes Fusion. That's the only way you're going to do it. But we do have alternate ways of applying pressure that you're going to see as we go through the build. So we're getting into the tech slots here. First and foremost, for going second, the most powerful going second card we have is the Forbidden Droplets. So even if we're going second into a board, we don't really care about sending away our hand advantage. It's really good if we open up with like a Commandant and a Red Eyes Fusion that we can chain to our Droplets. So we go Red Eyes Fusion, chain Droplets, sending off a monster to protect its resolution. And that is kind of the killer combo when you're going second. Droplets is the thing that enables you to play through boards. Simple as it gets. And then this is another really fun card that we get to play in this build, and that is triple copies of the Scapegoat. So we actually played this in an older build way back in the day. I think it was maybe at 2 or 1. We decided to put in the Scapegoats and change our entire extra deck build to rely around this card. Why, you may ask? It's because we don't have a lot of ways of applying pressure if the Dragoon gets outed. We need some sort of backup plan, and I was doing things like Fenrir. Sure, the Heretic can fill in from here and there, but even though this is an unsearchable 3 of spell, it puts 4 bodies on the field for free that you can link off into, and our whole extra deck is dedicated to this card. And in a worst case scenario situation, this can bail you out of a sticky wicket if your opponent's coming after your life points. Imagine just throwing up 4 bodies for free and saying, okay, now come at me, bro. So trust me, Scapegoat is a really fun card, and it's a nice budget option. Give it a try in this build, and you can combine it with some really cool stuff in the extra deck to apply that pressure. And then we've got our consistency cards. We got triple copies of the Pot of Prosperity. Let me know in the comment section down below. You think this card's going to 1 someday? My friends do, and I kind of agree with them. And then the next one we got is the 1 copy of Terraforming, just another way to search out your Necro Valley. Want to get to it as fast as possible. All right, now let's get into the thing that people aren't too crazy about, the purple cards. So first and foremost, we got triple copies of the Solemn Strike. Again, this is one of the best trap cards ever printed, hands down. Pay 1,500, stop a monster summon or effect. Yeah, guys, I think we're going to want to play this one maxed out. It is truly phenomenal. Same thing goes for this card. This one's a classic. You could probably swap this out for a newer, better option, but when I play Necrogoon, I'm playing the Torrential Tribute with it. Why? When we summon a Dragoon into this, guess what? It's not getting destroyed. We summon a Heretic into it, guess what? It's not getting destroyed. Our boards are 9 times out of 10 going to be insulated into the Torrential, and this is such an unexpected trap card that you can slap down on the opponents as they're building their board. No one's going to see this joint coming. Nobody plays Torrential Tribute in the year of our Lord 2024, but we do here, and it steals wins, all right? So give it a try, and trust me on this one, you're not going to be disappointed. And then the last purple cards we play are the 1 of Floodgates. We got the Rivalry of Warlords, the Gozen Match, and the There Can Be Only One. Yes, a ton of fun. All right, so we play within the bounds of these cards if we have them, and if they're going to shut down our opponent worse than they're going to hurt us. Yeah, it's pretty simple. We just play within the bounds of them. There Can Be Only One in particular is really crazy. Locking out the Fiends, trust me on that one. If you can see this card, you want to grab it ASAP. Most stun strategies are choosing to play this card because it is just truly phenomenal against the current meta. So this is the lineup. Again, the main deck is 41 cards, but if you want to cut the Heretic or any one of those Floodgate, you can bring it down to 40 without much trouble. Now we'll go through the extra deck. First and foremost, of course, you need your 1 copy of Dragoon, and this card's dirt cheap nowadays. Got reprinted in the rarity collections, so you should have no trouble getting your hands on it. Pick your favorite rarity and get ready to go to town. And then we got our cards to go along with the Scapegoat. So first and foremost, we got 2 copies of Link Spider that you can turn your tokens into for 100% free. As a sub-engine to go along with it, I am playing the G-Golem and the Heat Soul. So this is a classic Cashed Hero combo that they used to use the Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sax tokens for, and theoretically, if you are able to summon from graveyard, you can put up one additional body on your full board. That's the only reason why we're playing this combo of cards, and of course the free draws off of the Heat Soul is pretty phenomenal. But keen eyes will notice you can't do this if Necro Valley is on field. You can't use the G-Golem's effect. So this is in here as an option to tap into if the option is there. If we, for whatever reason, don't have Necro Valley up, yeah, we can do this. I just wanted to dedicate the slots to it. I figured it's worth it since we got the room. But flagging to obvious, this might be stating the obvious here, we can't do this combo if we've got the Necro Valley up. Moving on, other cards to summon with our tokens, we got the Nightmare Cerberus as well as the Nightmare Phoenix, the Nightmare package to climb on through, also paired with the Mighty Nightmare Unicorn. This is a classic card as well. These are just key pieces of removal that you can climb into for free. Now, if we want to put up a little bit of an end board, I guess you could say, we can easily make IP Masquerena or her more expensive cousin, Little Knight. We can also use our Scapegoat tokens for removal in the form of this Moon Girl, the brand new Light Fiend, you know, this shenanigan card, the one that's like basically the new pathway into Nightmare Mermaid or whatever for the Fiendsmiths. Yeah, well, we can use it for its cool effect, making the opponent's monsters something we can link with. And then we combine that with the Underworld Goddess, because we're putting up so many free bodies, it's not going to be hard. We get 2 free points of removal. Pretty phenomenal. Then we got some other big links here in the extra deck as well. We're playing the copy of Access Code Talker to close out games. Yes, it does come up. I'm also playing the Avermax as a backup boss monster that we can use our Scapegoat package to climb into. And you want to make this one with the IP Masquerena. Why? Because it's going to give it that added destruction protection, which is even better when we're combining it with things like Torrential Tribute. And then finally, the last big link monster we're playing is the Apollosa. It's just another option to make with our Scapegoat package. All right, that's everything for the extra deck, a clean 15, but you can have a lot of fun with this extra deck. There's one card that I'm missing. I would tell you to guess it in the comments, but I'm just going to tell you for free. I don't have Typhon anymore. I ended up selling that card, so unfortunately don't have it anymore, but I do recommend playing one of them as a plan C. All right? That's everything for the extra. Let's go through the side deck real quick, and I say this every single time. What am I going to say? Your results will vary. So build it for your local meta or build it for the event that you anticipate playing at, and you will not fail. Starting things off, we've got triple copies of the Dimensional Shifter. Oh my gosh. Well, when we're going second, okay, everybody, going second is a struggle. So we have to have those massive blowouts that give us the chance of stopping things. And guess what? We don't cry too much about Shifter. What does this turn off for us? It basically turns off Commandant and Red Eye's Insight. So as long as you're aware of those things, you know, the Shifter is going to be doing a lot more damage to your opponent than it is to you. So it's worthwhile to bring in when you're going second. Honestly, you can side out the Royal Tributes, bring this card in, and it's mission accomplished. Same logic applies for the Droll and Lockbird. Now, yes, obviously these two cards conflict. I'm well aware, but guess what? They're blowouts, okay? These are the cards that you can see just as your only hand trap and have a chance of stopping your opponent from building that unbreakable board. So yes, it's worthwhile to play them both in my opinion. That's it for the monsters in the side. We got some spell cards though. Triple copies. Oh, whoa, am I cheating? 2 copies of the Lightning Storm paired with the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. I guess I've kind of conformed to the modern day standards of this being the side deck blowout pattern for back row. Yeah, I think it makes sense, so I'm kind of following in tune with the rest of the universe. But this one is just an absolute dirty card. Triple copies of the Dank Ruler no more. Same logic applies to the Forbidden Droplets we got our main deck. When we're going second against Build a Board, we trigger the Dark Ruler to turn off that whole board, summon our Dragoon into it, and just blow up the monsters and break it that way. This one's especially good because it doesn't cost us additional card economy. That's something that's really tricky with this deck. Since it is a slow roll stun strategy, you're trying to put your opponent down on card advantage, not really build yours up. It's very hard for us to accumulate card advantage with how this deck works. Main focus is to break down the opponent and stun them out of the game, make it so they rage quit. So Dark Ruler is one way to help us doing that when we have to go second. Now we can't play things like Lava Golem or Sphere Mode for obvious reasons. They conflict with our Red Eye's Fusion, so Dark Ruler works around that sort of restriction. And then the last card we're choosing the side deck is another purple card. It's probably the best purple card that we're not playing in our main deck, that being the Solemn Judgment, because Solemn Judgment is just say no. It's anything, just like our Dragoon. So this is great for stopping the blowouts, the evenly matches, the Lightning Storms that are coming after our Necro Valley. Easy does it, we just activate Solemn Judgment. It's also another way for us to save our Dragoon negate and avoid things like the Triple Tactics talent. So we can also use Judgment to stop things like that if they're trying to steal our Dragoon. Okay, everybody, that is everything for the profile, and I hope you enjoyed this update to Necrogoon for 2024. Again, this is a pretty budget deck nowadays. You're going to find that you can pick up some low rarity copies of these cards and put this deck together. Probably your TCG card's not even going to exceed over $100. I'm telling you, I'm being honest here. It's going to be a really cheap, budget-friendly deck. So if you're looking for something to play at locals and you don't mind losing some friends, maybe you should give Necrogoon a try. But that's everything I got today, guys. Logan JYA signing off. Have a great day. The Drytron Marathon is going to continue. Keep your eyes out for that. But I will see you beautiful people later. Peace.